Hello, everyone. Here I am as Isabel. Welcome to another podcast. This podcast is going to be a little different. It is actually a conversation with my friend Donna, and we talk about my awakening journey and a lot of questions she had around, sacred geometry and what's a download and that kind of thing. In the background is my cat Blue. I just want to let you know I recorded this intro a couple of times and realized Blue just wanted to be in the background and saying hello to you. So all of those animal lovers out there, Blue, my cat, says hello. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Donna and I. I will be posting other different conversations with my other psychic friends to share information, to trigger something within you, to expand your understanding, because my intention is really to have you connect with your soul. It is my greatest honor to help facilitate that connection between your inner being, your soul, to have the ability awaken within you, to have you raise your vibration, and of course, experience magic. So let's listen in. So a download is when you receive information from the non-physical. It could be an image, it could be a feeling, it could be a conversation, it could be a few words, it could be a knowing very quickly.
So aren't we downloading all the time, more or less?
Yes, you do download all the time, but the downloads with the psychic energy is, we would say it's a knowing. It's information
Right.
that at your conscious level as Donna would not be able to access or would not seek that information. So, for example, I would get a download of an inspiration or an idea. For example, I might be typing an email and not think of anything but that email. And then I would get a download of information of there's a big portal opening up October 31st.
Wow. Okay. That's a download. Yeah.
I'm not seeking about information October 31st, but I get a download that a portal is opening up for the next portal of December 21st.
Of this year.
Yes.
So now the download, is it something you just know? You know the date, you know all that? Or do you see it, or what do you do?
Yes. You see it, you hear it in your third eye.
Okay.
You feel it in your heart. You might get tingles. You might get high energy.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's totally separate. Okay. That's cool. I'm not at that level but Daniel does that, right? Doesn't he download?
Daniel gets download.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. That's really cool. Okay. And so that's what I needed to know, because people talk different ways, and I didn't know what I know what channeling is, but downloading I didn't. Okay, so let's start with your information, like where you're born, and then how you started getting your path, your breadcrumbs.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, in 1969, and I would say I was always a sensitive child and intuitive. I had, when I was very young, I thought I was Egyptian. And I told my mother, I think she's wrong. I'm Egyptian. And I had a fascination with Egyptian things at a very, very young age, like 3.
Wow. Oh my
God. I collected Egyptian artifacts, whatnot. And I studied Egyptian ancient Egypt all my life.
That's not stuff at 1969 that's easily available. You have to really be seeking it because we, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so my grandmother, so in France, Napoleon took a lot of Egyptian things from Egypt. And so my grandmother would send me things and I would collect magazines, and every museum, the Louvre has a huge Egyptian exhibit.
Yep.
And I've been to the Louvre several times because my mom is French. And
I've been there. It's beautiful.
yeah,
Huge.
so the Egyptian thing was always in my life. I was very afraid to meditate because I had spiritual encounters. I had experienced ghosts and spirits, and I was very afraid to go into that realm because I felt like I was going to play with fire and I could burn down the house. So I was really scared.
Well, you were young. How old were you then?
I had experience all the way until I awoke. So I had experience when I was a child to teenagers to
About
being
when you wanted to start meditating, but you were afraid to.
I would say they became like a really strong push the last 7 years. So
Okay.
I think in 2012,
Okay.
they started really pushing for the meditation, and I didn't act upon it until 2017. So it took them 5 years.
So now let me ask you, who is they?
Well, now I understand
Now you know who they are.
who they was, but it kept on coming into my physical reality as conversations, articles, books, TV shows, radio, people, yoga, everywhere.
I love the tilting of that. Anyway, so they were pounding you.
They were, yeah. And being unawake and unaware, you just totally do not look at the signs. You just think of it like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's nothing. Yeah.
oh, here's meditation again. All right, whatever. Oh, Steve Jobs does it. All right, whatever. I mean, I just, it's funny how obtuse and ignorant we are before being awoken. Like, God bless them.
It's very difficult to meditate though. Like you bring us down really well on how we're doing it, but when you're alone and like you can listen to, guided meditations, but it requires you to be calm, and on our daily life we're not calm. So like we're still going like this and we got to lay down and be calm. So so
the meditation that I finally it was coincided doing the one-on-one program with Joshua. But the meditation that I finally did, because I needed data, was heart math. So you put the device to the ear. Yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer. For people who do not know how to meditate or cannot quiet the mind, they should really spend the $200 and buy that device, period.
Is that the Greg Braden's thing?
Yep.
He has a Heart Math Institute. Okay, interesting. I'll have to go back and read up on that again.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Because it's biofeedback, and it trains your heart and your brain to focus on the breath.
Right. You know what? That's happening to me a lot right now because, I had all that surgery procedures and stuff, but I still have it's a habit. I've been, been doing it for a year and a half. So now in the car, I'm like, I breathe through it. And never like this before you're lowering your heart rate. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, well, I don't really need to cough right now. I don't really, so you just very calmly, anyway, it's working. I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. So, around what led me to the spiritual realm also was I was writing a young adult novel around fairies, angels, and quantum physics.
Wow. Wow.
And I was I joined a conference, uh, Romance Writers of America, Romance Writers of America. And I would go to these monthly meetings and I would talk to all these published authors and editors and really immersed myself in writing. And I did a lot of research and I studied quantum physics for about 6 years, to the point where I understood the formula. Like I understood what the TH stood for. And I understood Max Planck, and because I had really engrossed myself in that subject. Then I had plantar fasciitis and I went to a chiropractor, and he said, as he chit-chats working on me, he's like, have you ever heard of Roberta Grimes? And I said, no. And he's like, do you listen to podcasts? And I said, yeah, I totally listen to podcasts. I'm a podcast junkie because I had a 1 hour commute each way. And so I would be learning like Money Planet, Freakonomics, a ton of stuff. Like my vibration, now looking back on it, just the knowledge I was accumulating for a solid year of humanity and the world and secret systems that create our world during listening to those podcasts was tremendous. Plus the mentoringship with the women talking about point of view and perspectives, and the research on the quantum physics, because I would work on my book every weekend. I listened to Roberta Grimes, and she was this lawyer that talked about the other side. And she would have doctors and lawyers and very highly, highly educated people on her show, very high educated. And I said, oh my God, the elite educated is totally aware of the non-physical realm. They totally get it.
Don't know what do you mean by the elite educated?
That means Berkeley, Cambridge, Harvard, not community college of Arizona.
Right. They've already, yes. Okay.
So I would say the top schools of the world
accept it.
They are very aware. And I was just like, I don't understand why this is not filtered down to other parts of society. Because even in those colleges, they don't even have courses.
Oh, they don't?
Like, the professors know, the scientists know, but they don't teach the mass.
Interesting.
And it just struck me. I was just like,
because if they taught it, then it would look like that Harvard or whatever was crazy.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it's a secret, like they have those secret societies.
Yeah. I mean, neuroscientists will be on the show. And when I say the elite, I mean the elite. This is like, very, very smart people.
Well, what's really interesting about Greg Braden, because he's extremely, he's a scientist kind of person, and he can relate everything that's science related, supports the spirituality, supports that. And that's why, that's why his books are so cool for the person who says, oh, I don't believe in that stuff, but it's science based. So you can't say it's not there,
Right. And science is the study of nature.
That's
science
right.
Is the study of nature.
That's right. Isn't that?
So if you're going to study nature, you're going to bump up against the non-physical.
Right. Well, they say in that spirits book that spirits are not supernatural. They're meant to be natural. They're natural. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? For some reason, I wrote above the spirit thing. I don't know where it came from, but I wrote, God God's gift to humanity. And I was like, where did that come from? You know? But they are.
Yeah.
They're a gift now to open up more, to be more present with them. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was listening to Roberta Grimes, and that really opened my mind to the non-physical being real. I never had heard about Abraham Hicks. A
No,
lot of people who study law of attraction know of her. I didn't really find out about her until the teachings of Joshua. So when I was listening to Roberta Grimes, I had went through her 100 podcasts, and I was looking for a new podcast, and I stumbled upon the teachings of Joshua, or Joshua's Roundtable, because in the beginning of her podcast, it was Law of Attraction Radio. And I'm like, Law of Attraction Radio, what is that? And I found it, and then I found Gary. I found the teachings of Joshua. And when I listened to the teaching of Joshua, the reason why I was attracted to the teachings of Joshua is because they had a theory, and then they went in depth explaining the theory in a very practical manner. And so I loved it because it was very elevated, and it was
this is in the
intelligent.
Podcast. This is the podcast.
Yeah, Gary's podcast.
Oh,
Yeah, Gary's podcast, Joshua's teachings. Joshua's teachings are a very high perspective level. They're not typical. It's not it's normal, but it's not normal, meaning it's not, it's very elevated. And so I was attracted to that because, again, I was listening to the very elite, smart people.
Right.
And so I was a vibrational match at that time for Gary, or the teachings of Joshua. I listened to the teachings of Joshua, I think I started in December, and then 4 months later, I joined the one-on-one program.
What was that, 2017?
That was 2017. Yeah. So at the end of 2016, I was listening to his podcast. And then in April 2017, I did the one-on-one program.
+1 332
Sorry, hang on. There you go. Cool. Very cool.
And that
listening to those now, because I forgot. Because I need some of the back stuff again, because I lost, not to stop you for a second, I lost, all of a sudden I'm like competitive, and like, where did that come from? I haven't had any of that in like 2 years, you know, since the Joshua thing. And I'm like, why is this coming up? So I was like, okay, I can't go through my book, but the podcast will be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. It will help you with the teachings. And so Joshua, so we used to write in a question, 2 to 3 questions a week, and then we would be on a Joshua live call. And that was the program. So I would write questions into Gary, who would channel the teachings of Joshua. And I always wanted to channel. I said, I want to channel. And they always said, everyone can channel. And I said, all right. So then one day, May 8th of 2017, I went in my lunch break into my car with a notepad, and I put on bilateral beats, and I felt a very strong pressure between my eyebrows, and I saw this yellow light. It was very intense, and then I saw this little face that was absolutely beautiful, that looked like a reverse image of a photograph. So if you had a camera roll and you looked at the negative of the film, that's how it showed. In fact, all non-physicals, that's how they show me their image. It looks like a negative image on the film. So I saw her, very quickly and I said, who is it? And I heard Iris. And I went, Iris. Oh, I love iris flowers. And then I heard, no, Isis. And I'm like, Isis? And Isis is like my main guide. My body shook, even my toes shook, which I'm like, it's very hard to get your toes to shake. Trust me.
Really?
My whole body vibrated. I went upstairs into my office and I researched Isis. And every time I would like read about her, I would just get these shivers and chills, and my chakras started like opening up, and that was like really, I was awakening before, but that's when it was like, I'm awake, the psychic door really opened.
Yeah.
And so now so the psychic door opened and I connected within to Isis, and then I wouldn't channel anyone else. I would only channel Isis. And then finally,
But channeling, they come to you more or less.
they were coming to me. Yeah. And then also when I meditated, I would talk to her. When I meditate, I would talk to Isis, and then she really worked with me to reduce my ego, to wash away my persona. I went through a lot of ascension symptoms, and ascension symptoms are you become dizzy, you have physical pain, which is all messages for you. I had a lot of teeth issues because I had a lot of rooted beliefs.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I had a lot of stuff. And so that transformation and that awakening is intense. It's intense. My eye color changed.
No way. Permanently?
Yeah.
What was it?
They just became lighter.
Ah.
They're a lighter green.
Isn't that interesting?
What else did I notice that was different? People thought I was on drugs because I would vibrate so high and there was a lot of energy.
Yeah. Wow.
My husband thought I had a brain tumor. And
Somebody noticed it, obviously.
Yeah, they noticed it. And then eventually I did let in Thoth, which is Isis's and my best friend. He was a shapeshifter during ancient Egypt and from Atlantis. And he wrote the Emerald tablets. And he was the one who said, so is above, so is below. So
Thoth, really? That's from him. Okay.
Yeah. So Thoth is sacred geometry in Atlantis, and a ton of stuff we owe him. He's great. So after Thoth, I let in the archangels, and now I can just channel. Before I would be like, only Isis.
Yeah, that's why they didn't come for a while.
So and then I'm open. And so that was my awakening journey. And I was at work one day typing an email, and they said, you have to go on Facebook Live right now. I'm like, Facebook Live? I'm like, I'm right in the middle of this email. And it was an intense email. And they're like, no, you must go on it right now. You must go to Dolores Cannon's Facebook page right now. And so I did. And that's when I saw these two men on stage. I didn't realize that they were but they were channeling their soul. They were channeling their spirit guide. And it sounded just like Joshua. And I said, oh, now, mind you, before they told me to go to Dolores Cannon's Facebook page live, they were sending me at least 17 messages around Dolores Cannon in my YouTube feed, people talking about her books, past life. I did not want to do past life. I couldn't care less about past life. This life is the most important life. I understood we had past lives. I understood we were reincarnated. That wasn't my issue. I was just like, I really don't care about other people's movies. Like, there's so many movies now, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to their past movies, whatever.
But it was
That
a stepping stone.
That was my belief. And so when I saw them channel, then I went, oh, well, now I'm interested, because it was higher level information. I'm always reaching for the higher level information.
Right.
Always, always. And so after that, so also meanwhile, I just want to let you know, while I was doing Teachings of Joshua, I was also working with Kimberly, Beings of Light. So Lakishma, who she channels, was mentoring me. I've been and still am being mentored by many, 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 many non-physical entities. Like, I immerse myself in the school of remembering, or the mystery schools. I immerse myself. I've always been a passionate learner. I've always been a passionate researcher.
Yeah, me too.
So
I'll research anything. People know I'll research anything. They're like, well, I need to know about this. I'm like, great.
Yeah. So really, working with Kimberly, who channeled Lakishma and Raphael, and, I'm on Astrid's calls. I'm still on Kimberly's calls. Every once in a while, I'll still go on to Joshua's calls. Of course, I channel myself. I do watch, sometimes I read Bashar's things or whatnot. And of course, I still study science. So I am very active in this. And when they inspired me to go to Dolores Cannon's Facebook page and they were channeling, I said, okay, I'll look into it. And then I asked them, I said, do you want me to do past life regressions, QHHT? And they're like, yes. Well, how much is this going to cost me, and how long is this going to take? The typical human, right?
Yeah. So,
I forgot what it costs. I don't know, a few $1,000,
like
whatever,
or more.
Whatever it was. So I'm like, all right. So I took the course. I went to Vancouver, and of course, I'm a natural. Just a natural at it. Like, I've done it a million times, and I probably have. So a million times I've done it, and they wanted, so I did QHHT, but before that, in 2018, or maybe at the end of 2017, I forgot, they wanted me to create a podcast. And I said, okay. And I thought I was going to interview scientists and talk about spirituality and the science. And I contacted Jeff Folk, who is really into cymatics. And cymatics is the visualization of sound. So what they do is they take a plate and they put a high frequency, and the sand will make patterns of the dragonfly wings, of the leopard. So it shows the frequency and vibration visually of, it's called cymatics, sound waves. So I studied cymatics, and I bought books and I read it, and I know I know a lot about cymatics that led me to Tesla and all this stuff. Anyways, I met him and I thought I was going to interview him. I channeled the intro and outro to my podcast, and I had the intro to the outro to the podcast, my website. I did everything 1 year before I published my first podcast.
Wow.
1 year. So you get inspiration, you take the step, and then it may go nowhere. So 1 year, and I knew after I did past life regressions that that's what was going to be my podcast, were those sessions.
Wow. Because you learned so much. So now, because we talked about this, yes, the other day, is that you've moved so far past the QHHT.
Yes. So the QHHT, and God bless them, and I understand why Julia Cannon, her daughter, does this. But Dolores passed away in 2013. And because I have worked with so many non-physical entities and being mentored, I have a greater understanding from her perspective of 2013. And I understand nothing happens by accident. Nothing is random.
Right.
And she was very concerned about putting somebody under remote. Now, I've done it countless times now. And is it my favorite way? No. Is it the only way? No. But I channel. So I'll bring in, if I need to bring in Athena and Isis, I'm bringing Athena and Isis. And Julia was like, very like, you must do it the way my mother did it. So I don't reference myself as, I said I learned the technique.
Yeah.
But I don't say I'm a QHHT practitioner.
Right.
I just say I learned the technique.
Because everything evolves, and that's probably perhaps Julia's trying to hang on to her mother's.
Yes, she's trying to keep her legacy intact. And so I honor that, that she's trying to keep that legacy intact. But that's why I do not call myself a QHHT practitioner. Because now I've kind of made it my own. I do 3 sessions. QHHT was like just 1 session. And I really do the 3 sessions to open up the psychic door. Sometimes between the sessions can be a few months, a few weeks, and a year between sessions. I'm always guided when the next person's session is ready, when they're ready.
Interesting.
And, I'm really loosey-goosey with the sessions, and whoever comes to me is meant to come to me. That's how I look at it. And they're time consuming. These sessions are time consuming. So like when you come to me, I block off 3 to 4 hours.
Well, it's exhausting for you.
It's not exhausting.
It's not?
No, it's never exhausting. It's just very time consuming.
Okay.
to do that. And I have a lot of other work the non-physical team wants me to do. So I'm really okay with, whoever comes to me, Right. It's okay, because if I was going to do past life regressions as my only work, well, I could only see 2 people a day, if at most.
Yeah. And it's limiting for you. It's limiting. It's only using this part.
It is very limiting. And it's only one way to open up that psychic door. And so now they're sending me a lot of psychics that come to me, which is great, because then I can put them under. Because if you are resistant, even if you want a past life regression and you really, 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 really want it, but if you are not relaxed enough, and if you are not open enough, and if you have not reduced enough fear, you're not going under.
Right.
Your ego is going to stop that shit. You are not going to go under, no matter how good I am, right? And so now, like, whoever is sent to me, I understand there's a reason and there's a higher purpose. So I'm really okay with it. I like working with psychics, very much so, instead of somebody just
more open.
Yes, they open, they've meditated, they're aware, they're not so afraid, they can go under. and still get greater understanding. So I just recently did someone from England who was a yoga teacher, and she was, everyone's always blown away by their session. Everyone's blown away. Oh my God, because you feel it and you see it. You're getting a download of information while you're under, and you're not resistant to it.
Right.
You're open to it. So when I ask questions and facilitate, and I say, what do you see around you? You say, oh, I see a road. And if I say, look down, I say, do you have a body? You're like, yes, I have a body. Oh, I'm a man. Oh, I'm strong. Oh, right. But you don't see yourself as a man. You just get these downloads.
Psychic, they're more in tuned until they can talk about it right away. And when new people, they have to recognize how it works.
Yes.
So it's slow or.
Yes. Yeah. And then, it really does open up that psychic connection. Like everyone that has, look at you. You were not channeling. You were not connected to Yeshua. You were not.
You opened that door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like.
What am I doing with him? I'm just talking to him. That's not, you get visuals and images. And
that's channeling.
Oh, that's channeling. Oh, okay.
Don't limit to channeling like Gary, where there are many forms of channeling.
Like I can pick this up and talk to him anytime.
Yes.
So when I think of channeling, it's like Gary, okay, like he's going to get into it and you're only talking about it in a specific amount of time. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm not really talking to other people. I'm talking to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so
tell me, go ahead.
To me, when people are ready, I'm just one modality. So they had me do past life regressions, and then they wanted me to create the psychic course. And I said, you want me to create a psychic? Always when they ask me to do stuff, I'm always like, you want me to do what? Never like, okay. I'm always
whatever
like,
you say. You're the yeah.
I'm always like, what?
I don't have time for that.
Actually, they wanted me to write a book first, and I did start a book. And then I said to them that I don't want to write a book. I said, I really don't want to write a book. There's so many books out there. I know one more book is okay, but it's a lot of blah, blah, blah. I said, I don't want to write a book.
Yeah.
So I said, can you write a workbook instead? And they said, yes, we can write a workbook, because I don't want, me personally, and this is my view, I want you to start playing. I don't want you to think about it. It's like learning how to cook. I don't want you to watch YouTube videos. You've already watched 50,000 YouTube videos on how to cook. You've already gotten 25 recipe cookbooks. You have bought ingredients that have gone bad in your refrigerator, and you refuse to get in the goddamn kitchen. Get in the goddamn kitchen, peel the carrot, chop it up, and let's make the stew. Cut the shit. Let's go.
They said that
so,
too?
That's what I said to them.
Okay.
That's what I want to create. I want them to play.
Right.
And I said, I want a workbook, because I want them to physically do stuff instead of, oh, one day I'll meditate. One day I'll be able to connect. So annoyed at humans at times. Anyways.
Well, there's fear involved. Like
I know, I'm just so over it. So I created the workbook. And then when I was creating the workbook, I realized there was a lot of blah, 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 because again, I have to explain things to everyone. And so what happened was, I said to them, that I'm going to need to create videos. So I created the videos with the workbook so that you can watch a video and do the work. And that took a year. That took a year to create that course. And so now I've launched the course. I love it because I think I can get to many more people. I mean, doing one session at a time, that's long. But now people can do the course and then, you know, be in contact with me. And of course, I always assist and cheerlead. And everyone's psychic ability is turning on after they take that course. And I'm stunned. I didn't expect that. Sure, did I expect them to open up their minds? Yes. Sure, did I expect them to move them further along? Yes. Did I expect them to open up their psychic ability? Every single one? No.
I love, you're so animated. That's great. Okay.
So anyone who's taking this course is opening up their psychic ability, and it makes me really excited because it's priceless. Once you understand and feel it and know it, that you are never alone, not for 1 nanosecond, and that you are so loved and taken care of, that's priceless.
It is. Like, I wasn't wearing this, but now when I wear it, I feel, you know, I'm more connected to him. I know it's just a mental thing, but I feel like I'm protected.
Yeah. And you know, my project that I started about a year ago, maybe even a year and a half ago, was they wanted me to they kept on, and sometimes they're relentless, which they need to be, I guess. But they wanted me to create, they kept on showing me the concentration game where you took pairs, you know, you found the apple, you took your little cards in rows, and then you would flip it over and you would find the matching pair, the concentration game. And I used to play that when I was a little kid. And they kept on showing me the concentration game. And I said, you want me to do a deck of cards? Really? Again, never like, yay. They're like, yeah.
Collaborate with them is what you're doing.
Totally collaborate with them. So right now I'm working on publishing these 18 cards that fit in the palm of your hand for little kids. And there's a game, and it's sort of like a tarot deck, but it's also to build that psychic connection with the non-physical.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know who's doing children's books right now is Joanne, but I don't know. I have to ask her more because I don't know. I mean, she's the art person. I don't know if she's writing and what she's writing, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a connection. I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's me basically in the nutshell. I have a lot of non-physical projects. The second psychic course is already being downloaded to me. I haven't gotten it to paper yet. They want me to do a handbook for the newly awakened. I think that's going to be right after the cards.
I can't believe how you're blooming, and it's quick.
Very quick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why you're in that book, Messengers Among Us. That's why. And this is so perfect, you know, getting every person to talk about this part of it, you know, they have a book and whatever, but they have like one line that said, well, I got that inspiration, you know, it's like, okay, but it came a lot longer than that. It wasn't like this quick thing.
Yeah. And, you know, like the concentration game, I'm showing it in my mind, this, you know, the concentration game. And it took me, they use what you know. So they didn't show me a tarot deck, even though like this is kind of like a tarot deck. They were very careful not to show me a tarot deck.
Some people like I gave one once to a friend as a gift, and she's like, "Oh no, you take that back. It's evil." I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. But they were they showed the concentration game is because it was for children. And if they had sent me the image of a tarot deck, I would have thought it would have been for adults, but they were very specific that they want this for children. Sure, adults can use it, sort of like Harry Potter was read by a ton of adults, but it was written for children.
Right, exactly.
So that is how the non-physical works. They use what you have up here, your experiences, they communicate. You try to be loosey-goosey with it. Like, for example, one of my psychic abilities is that I'm clairvoyant, and I can see the future, and I am always cautioned to be loosey-goosey with seeing the future. Like, it's just one potentiality. It is just one field of potentiality, and it may come to fruition or may not.
Because we all have free will.
We all have free will, and energy is really in flux. Like, it's like herding kitty cats. It's very hard to, like, now they're working with me on harnessing my energy, harnessing the water. So like, when you're a ship and you try to go against the waves, you're gonna battle your ship. If you can learn to go with the waves and go with the wind and direct that energy, and you're harnessing the energy of the winds and the water, well, you take off.
It's amazing. It's truly amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me quickly where you were born and all that stuff.
So I was born in Chicago, Illinois, July 21st, 1969, to Francoise and Leo Rohatch.
Okay.
That's my maiden name.
Okay. Okay.
I lived in Chicago. We moved to Montreal, Canada. We moved to Dallas, and then I ended up doing the majority of my life in Ohio.
Now, were your parents, you were from Vermont, not Vermont, you were from Canada?
No, I lived in Canada.
French?
My mother is Parisian French, but she met my father in the United States.
Okay. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
My parents are both Canadian French.
Okay.
More like farmer,
Yeah.
not the Parisian.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been fortunate to live in different parts of the United States. I've been fortunate to, now I live in Connecticut, as you know. And, I've traveled some of the world, not like extensive. I've met other people who are really world travelers, but
Right.
And then there's some people who've never been outside their town. So I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Well, there's a big future. There can be lots of, that Greg Braden, oh my God, he goes to the most incredible places.
Yeah.
Like real not educational, but connected.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And because he's like a scientist as well,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So we think is there more, do you think? Is there more?
No, I think you've got enough material when you listen back to this or transcribe it, but you can always reach out to me if you need any clarification.
Well, I'll do that. And you will have to prove the copy.
Yeah. I'll read it and add anything if we need anything. transition sentences. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. I'm so excited about everything. I'm so glad I talked to you. Oh, I do have one personal question.
Yeah.
When we met, remember I kept seeing fences and we thought it was a personal connection to fences, like love or whatever. But it was really about letting go and letting this happen, because the fences were there. And then the last one was where I broke through the fence. I got on this horse. I didn't know how to ride. I was like 30. I'm in my 30s. It was a guy, and they were going to teach me. It was like, forget it. I'm just getting on it. He didn't even ask, and he just broke through the fence. So this is what I think is what this is all about. But I have a question for you. How do I know who I was? And I don't mean the name of the people. Like, you were Isis. Was I?
No, Isis was my guide.
Oh, you were Athena. You were Athena.
Your soul will let you know. Like, I saw the life as the Queen Eleanor that I was, and it's funny. So I saw her life, and I knew I was killed, and I had read her story in college, and she came up with the courtly love. But when I didn't connect the pieces that I was her, but I saw her.
How did you get pieces from her that you figured out? Because did you even know who she was?
Okay, so I had read about her life through a religious class by Joseph Campbell.
Oh, okay.
And I heard about Queen Eleanor. And one of my regressions I was under, because, you had to do exchange with students and stuff.
Right.
One of my things was I saw myself as a queen, and like they just flashed it. We didn't go into that whole life. It was just a flash. Oh. And I remember thinking, wow, I'm really flat chested. I just looked her up recently, and she is flat as a board.
And Athena is tall.
Athena's tall, yeah. Flat as a board. And sure enough, she was murdered, which I don't know if I read that in that course at that time.
So you don't know who.
But anyways,
yeah.
So you get your remembrance is really determined by your soul.
Okay.
And I would say
hiss.
Yeah, hiss.
Which I've never really connected with.
Yeah.
Recall.
And I would look at your ascension or remembering, like a jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
So you do not get the box where you see your whole image.
Right. It's part.
That's what humans want.
Right.
Humans want the picture.
Right. With the biology, the background next to it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we want. No one gets that.
Right.
No one.
Right.
You can.
But too, like, I'm
all you want
on this stuff. Like, I wouldn't even care. But when you start to, dissipate.
Right. But as you awaken, you were like, oh, I wonder how this connects. Well, you will get the necessary information about yourself when you are ready.
Right.
And you have to be a vibrational match. And I would say it is hard to let go of control. But if you only get a puzzle piece every year, well, then you get a puzzle piece every year.
Right. And then it comes together. Like what I'm doing now started in 2012, just like you.
Yeah.
And I think that was the end of the Mayan calendar. And so many things started at that point.
Yeah.
Because it was not over. It was just changing.
Yes. Yes. So you
so it came in parts and pieces. Yeah.
It will always come in parts and pieces. You will never have anything laid out, and that is the design of the system. So this is why I study the mechanism of the system, the operating system of source.
Kind of like your computers.
Yeah. So I understand the system. So if somebody says, oh, well, I want blah, 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 I'm like, well, that's not the design of the system. And you can cry all you want.
Right, right.
Go ahead and cry. You're going up against source. Good luck to you. You're going up against source that created everything. But okay, give it a whirl. All right.
Try to rechange the law. This is the
All
law.
right. I don't care. Go for it. If that's what you want to choose. All right.
You should have a video like this on either your website, because it shows, and that's why I believe he wants this on these key visionaries, to show they were like everybody else. And like the pieces and parts like came together and you're like, what? I don't understand. What are you talking to me for? You know? And I think that's what
well, we can put this, if you want, you can send me this video.
Yep.
And I will post it on my channel.
But don't you think you need to cut me out? No? Okay.
No. Why?
Okay. All right.
You're one of the teachers.
Oh, okay. Right.
You're the messenger. You're putting the books together.
Yeah,
you
that's
think that's by accident?
Well, you know what's weird is the 28 books, like to get to the 28 books took 2 years, because I had to go through Dolores, then I had to go through Joshua, I had to go through you. Yeah. But when you get down to it, it's like, okay, it's 28 books in an order, and there's a preface or whatever. It doesn't look like just a human could have done that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was more work than just.
But it was a lot of work to contact the authors, to put this together, to read all the books.
To read all the books. That was
I had you read all the books.
Yeah. In 2 months.
I would say
in 2 months.
Everything is a multi-pronged approach. Yeah. Nothing is at face value. Nothing.
Right. Right.
But humans only look at one layer.
Yes. That's why he wants in this book to look at the layers that led to, because it gives people hope. Say, well, you know what? Maybe I'm just not listening, and there's really a purpose. And you know that book was by a reverend, Purpose Driven Life? Well, that was like you not finding your purpose. Like your purpose came and found me, as opposed to, because I remember I read that book and I was like, well, I'm going to be this. You know what I'm saying? And that's not really the way it works anyway.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to be loosey-goosey, as I say.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and I hope that it did trigger something within you, or a remembrance, or you could relate to something in that conversation. Remember, you can find me on Facebook, Attracting Wisdom, and join the Facebook group to be part of the community. And until next time, see the wonder and magic of it all. Bye.